Welcome to Active Passion. We've got Scott Menard, our Performance Director, and Linda Hunkin, our Chief Energetic Officer. And tonight we're going to talk about snacking as an athlete. So who wants to start? Who wants to start talking about snacks? Linda, what do you like to snack on when you're eating, riding, running?
Oh, can I just talk about snacking?
You can just talk about snacking all you want.
A bucket of Nutella and I'm good to go.
And along with this, we can announce the event that's going to be happening tomorrow, actually, too.
Sure thing. Tomorrow. Whose event? Should we keep them in suspense and announce it at the end of the...
Maybe.
You've got to listen to the entire spiel to get to tomorrow's event announcement. I think that and Scott will agree with us, that snacking is an interesting topic because everybody has their likes and dislikes, and I think if you ask 20 people what they snack when they are working out, especially for extended periods of time, it'll vary across the board, and a lot of it is about preference. And I mean, basically what we want to do is just talk about things that we personally snack and find works for us, and the reasons why you should snack. Because having bonked, it's not something that is a fun thing to do, and eating for 20 minutes time is something that you've got to learn is a good thing to do, and I'm sure Scott will tell us more about that. And then we'll talk a little bit about the electrolytes and why Active Passion decided to make electrolytes in-house that are fresh, and then also hydration and why that's very important, especially as the temperature heats up out there.
Okay, so Scott, what do you want to add to that?
Well, I think those are all good points, and how you're going to snack and how you're going to hydrate has a lot to do with, like Linda said, what you're going to do, how long you're going to do it, what's the duration, what's the intensity, certainly the climate in which you are doing it. Doing a 10K fun run in Houston in December versus August 15th, you're probably going to have a little different strategy. So all those things are definitely important.
Linda, tell us what bonking is.
The American version.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm going to give you the American version because this is a PG show. Basically, it is when you just run out of energy because you have not fueled appropriately. And for me, when it happened, it was like my brain and my muscles were not connected. I thought I was cycling at least 17 miles an hour, and it felt like I was working really, really hard, and I looked down at my computer and I was doing just over 12 miles an hour, and I felt awful. And if it wasn't for one of the guys that was on the group ride with us that came back to fetch me and let me sit on his back wheel and dragged me all the way back to home base, I would have had a very, very long ride. But it's no fun. It's basically when you haven't fueled enough and your body just says, I'm done. Sorry for you. I don't know how you're getting home, but I ain't doing it.
Yeah, I mean, the sort of physiology behind what bonking is pretty complex. But just suffice it to say is our bodies have basically lots of systems that will protect you from seriously injuring yourself. And so when your fuel stores start to get below a certain point, it's reserving it for really important things like keeping your brain functioning and keeping your heart beating. So things like you pedaling a bicycle or running anywhere in a hurry go right out the window, become very low priorities. And so it basically just shuts off the tap to all your energy resources for your muscles. So you can't go anywhere. And like Linda said, most people get really lightheaded, dizzy. You tend to make really bad decisions. You're confused very easily, and you just have no power. You may even feel nauseous. Food may not even seem palatable. You hear these examples of long-distance runners or cyclists or hikers, and they just kind of wander off the trail and get lost, and you wonder, I wonder why somebody would make such a terrible decision like that. Well, you tend to make really bad decisions when you are completely empty. When your tank is empty, your brain just simply can't function since it runs primarily on sugar.
So is it fair to say that it's dangerous if you're not feeling right when you're doing endurance?
Yeah, and obviously, bonking in a 5K fun run is not going to be terribly problematic. But yeah, if you're doing a big event, a really long ride, or you're bike packing in the middle of nowhere, it can be. it can be incredibly problematic and could possibly be dangerous. There's a couple of different ways to sort of prepare yourself and prevent from bonking. One is sort of the way you eat before your event, maybe the day or two before your event if it's a really big event. Or if it's just a moderate event, how you eat before. So if it's an afternoon run or bike ride, the meal you choose to eat in the morning can be really important. And if it's a short event, less than 90 minutes in most cases, you're probably fine with whatever you've eaten, maybe a small goo pack or even a beverage that has a little bit of calories will probably be okay. It's when things start to run out longer than 90 minutes or that short ride that seemed like an easy ride, you get talked into going further or you run further or you get lost and you're out there longer. That's when it can be a problem for most people. They're just not prepared for that. So it's a good idea to get in the habit of starting bringing things with you and thinking about every workout, every run, or every ride as sort of an opportunity to prepare and make sure you have the right hydration, make sure you have the right nutrition.
So you should practice while you train. You should practice your hydration, nutrition, snacking, whatever you want to term it.
100%. And it's good to experiment because everybody handles different types of foods and drinks differently. The way you absorb food can be very individual. So having an idea and going through that experiment on shorter events when it's not terribly consequential what you have, experimenting with different types of things, small pre-made bars or something like that, easy to carry on your person, trying different brands, certainly some of the things that we have here that are pre-prepared for you are great things to try and experiment to see how your body handles them so that when you do have a really important longer event, you're not just trying things out of the blue. You already know that you can eat it, it's palatable, you can keep it down, and you're going to absorb it and use it quickly.
Yeah, and I think to that point, first rule, don't try anything new on race day. I mean, that's just
100% the biggest mistake new people make.
Bad idea because you don't know how you're going to react to it, and also how you react to something when you're sitting down to a meal and are not going to do anything afterwards, and how you react to something when you're in motion are two completely different things. So don't think just because burger and fries is great on a Friday and a couple of beers that having a beer in your back pocket and a burger and fries, although it might be fine for you, it might not work with you.
It's great for the card game, not so much for the boat ride.
Yeah, so trying something in smaller quantities, as Scott was saying, is a very good idea. And also if you've got a plan and it works, don't try something different on game day because it just is throw you off completely in terms of, if you're lucky enough you might not have any issues, but you don't want to rely on luck when you've put in a whole lot of training to get to a event and then you land up eating something and all your training goes out the window because you don't feel good because of what you ate.
That's a funny anecdote about trying game day things. I mean, it wasn't an important race, but it's when I first started doing cyclocross. And if you don't know what cyclocross is, it's an incredibly short, incredibly intense bike race that's mostly off-road on bikes that look like road bikes. Anyway, I was kind of new to pre-prepared things. Goos and gels had started to become really popular, and everybody was recommending them and using them. And one of the guys at the bike shop was like, "Hey, here, we got some of these. Would you like to try them?" And I didn't even really look. I just kind of threw them in my race bag, and I went to the cyclocross race. And he's like, just have one right before the start of the race. Sure, what could possibly go wrong? And so we're lining up, and you just tear it off, and you grab it, and you squirt it. I still to this day don't know what flavor it is, and I'm exaggerating, but it was like maple bacon whiskey coffee or something. And so I squirted it in my mouth maybe 3 minutes before the guy says go, and I gagged for like the first 5 or 10 minutes. Like I didn't know if I was going to throw it up or if my insides were turning like the opposite way around. So
practice flavors too.
Definitely try flavors, brands, everything can be different.
We had a good point brought up by somebody watching that it takes a long time to recover from dehydration. And everybody here that knows me is going to laugh because I'm the worst at drinking water. But I can tell you from somebody that doesn't drink water, look, Linda's got her water.
Glug, glug.
That not drinking water can have long-term downsides on your body and take not just a couple days to recover. It just depends on how often you do it, which I do it far too often. I'm a chronic dehydrated person, barely walking around.
Yeah, so I mean, to Scott's point about bonking and the mental thing, dehydration absolutely gives you fogginess. So you land up making stupid decisions, and I mean, I almost felt like I was having an out-of-body experience. Like I wasn't then. I was like, surely this isn't happening to me. So yeah, it's a combination of not fueling properly, both from a liquid and hydration perspective and from a fuel in terms of food perspective. So yes, very important. And hydration doesn't start when you get on your bicycle. It starts beforehand, and especially in hot and humid weather, because you know how much. And if you've ever ridden in a group ride where you've had to wipe your glasses from the guy in front of you, you'll know how much sweat we can lose when we're on a ride. So yeah.
What's your favorite thing to hydrate on before a race? And I don't mean right before the race. I mean a day or two before the race.
So, I mean, I love water. So I love water, because I forget that water doesn't have a T in it, has a D in it. So I'm very good about drinking a lot of water, and that's what I like to drink. I mean, and I'm always pretty much hydrated because of that. And we just happen to have the most delicious water in the universe at the shop, because it's reverse osmosis water. So I've become a water snob too. But I also, because I drink a considerable amount of coffee, I need to make sure that I balance that out. And I think this was a loaded question, because I also happen to just be very biased about electrolytes. And I mean, seriously, I'm not just saying this, they are absolutely delicious. So that's something that I will drink beforehand as well. And that's in my fond, distant memory of the days when I used to work out.
You'll catch a break soon, don't worry. Okay, so now Scott, what is your preferred version of hydration pre-race? There's just Scott right there.
So I'm the opposite of Linda. It goes without saying that you should drink, and you should drink lots of water. I don't particularly like the taste of water, any kind of water, so I really have to force myself to drink it.
Other than Topo Chico.
Topo Chico is disgusting. So
we just lost followers, Scott. No, just kidding.
I'm not saying it should be banned from the universe.
It's just not his flavor.
It's just not my thing. I don't particularly like the taste of water, so I had to do a lot of experimenting to find some sort of a drink that would taste good, especially in Texas in August, to encourage me to drink. And I've had a lot of clients that have had the same issue. Something that might taste great when it's straight out of the fridge won't necessarily taste wonderful when it's in a lukewarm bottle. So again, to that point about experimenting, I had to try lots of different things, went through every powdered variation of everything that you can possibly think of. I've tried virtually everything that's on the market with various degrees of success. And it's one of the conversations that we had when we were developing our hydration drink here is, it had to taste really good to encourage you to drink. It also had to be palatable both when it's cold and when it's not quite so cold. And it had to be something that you could drink over and over again. Some of the pre-made powders start to get really kind of dense and kind of clog up in the back of your throat because of the powder mix and because of whatever sucrose or whatever they're using to sweeten it. And so we wanted to make sure ours was always very clean, so that you could continue to drink it, even if it was a relatively long multi-hour event, as opposed to some of the overly sweet, like heavily over Gatorade flavored things. It's become my favorite. Before that, before it existed, actually Pedialyte I used a lot, especially when it gets really, really warm. And to somebody's point about recovery, being hydrated doesn't just start before and during the event. If you have multiple events in a row, or even in Texas, if you're just being active multiple days in a row,
or if it's super hot,
drinking plenty after your event, making sure you replenish all that stuff, you will absolutely be amazed if you weigh yourself before and after a pretty intense long event in Texas, how much weight you lose. All that water comes out of your cells. It comes out of your blood plasma. And if it's not in there, they can't function properly. So you have to begin putting that stuff back as soon as you can.
Yeah, and I mean, I think sometimes there's a misnomer about the amount of sweat. So I heard a story once that said, animals sweat, men perspire, and women glow. I must have 100% animal in me, because there ain't no glowing that happens here. I am an absolute dripping mess when I work out. So I know that I've got to hydrate as well. And the quality of your hydration is important too. Not all hydration is of equal.
Not at all.
And so, funny story, when we were creating our electrolytes, Scott decided that he wanted to try something different. And I think he put about a bucket of salt, because he thought the salt content needed to be upped. And
We went to rescue hydration levels.
yeah, we went to a real rescue, like we were swimming in the Gulf, kind of taking mouthfuls. Not quite the Gulf, but yeah, it was really, really salty. And I can remember him saying, "What do you think?" And I was like, "Yeah, no." So the actual process of that was very interesting in terms of just coming up with, because not all salts are equal to. We use Himalayan pink salt, which is completely different. We didn't know all of these things. We learned a whole lot through the process. The kind of honey we use is very important because it comes from multiple different flowers, which adds to the different levels of carbohydrates in the hydration. So there's all sorts of cool and interesting things. And yeah, we worked with a mixologist, because that was one of Scott's first things. He said, it's got to taste good, because otherwise, I mean, you need to drink something, but you go for your bottle and you go, yeah, I'm not that thirsty. Whereas if it tastes good, you will actually be encouraged to drink. So we worked with a mixologist who came up with a flavor profile first, and then we kind of got it to what we really liked, somewhere between licking a salt brick and having good salt content. And then we got a dietitian involved who helped us get the science right, so that we had the right level of there's potassium in there, there's the right level of carbohydrates and sodium, and and even the fruit, what the fruit adds, and the different types of fruit that we tried, and the ones we landed on, the contents and properties that they had and what they add to the electrolytes too.
Yeah, and we finally tuned the salt content for absorption too, because no hydration drink works if it just sits in your gut. So you need to be able to absorb it. And so we paid some attention to that too, without resorting to any sort of powders or anything that would make it gritty. So it is 100% all from fresh stuff. It's basically fruit, honey as a sweetener, like you said, some pink Himalayan salt, lots of reverse osmosis water, and it's just completely fresh. So it's never been in powder form. It never gets gritty, doesn't separate and fall apart. It just tastes great and encourages you to drink.
And we have a question for you, Linda, and it's about storing the electrolyte. How long does it last? Does it need to be completely fresh every time, or can we take it home and can we store it a bit?
Yeah, so we have had lots of guinea pigs and willing participants to help us test this over time. Because it has fresh fruit in it, obviously it does have a shelf life. We have kept it in storage in the fridge for up to 11 days. I would say don't drink it after that period of time. For me personally, and it's a taste thing, it doesn't go rancid or anything, it just doesn't taste as good. But for me, the best time frame is within 5 to 6 days of it actually being made. Then it's fresh, it tastes really good, and I would say the strawberry and the watermelon one definitely. The clementine one can last a little longer for some reason. It doesn't.
Citric
I think the citric
holds it together longer. Yeah.
Absolutely, as Scott's saying, the citric acid holds it together a little longer, but the watermelon and strawberry one definitely 5 to 6 days, and then I wouldn't. And you store it in the fridge because it's got fresh fruit in it. Yeah. So
no temperature changes, right? Like no.
Yeah.
Let it get hot, put it back in the fridge, right?
No.
Yeah,
You
no.
should
Once
just-
it's been out on your bicycle,
Yeah.
That
Just-
changes
if you
it.
haven't
Just drink it
consumed
all.
it all, which I'll be very surprised by,
Yeah.
because I always come up back with empty bottles,
Oh.
for sure. So yeah, it's definitely something that you need to store in the fridge.
And it's just easier to carry when it's in your body as opposed to on your body.
And you can freeze it. So if you want to freeze it and to put it in your bottle so it's cooler for longer, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I had a personal friend who is an endurance runner here in Houston. give me the tip because I am not a water drinker. It is hard for me to hold and carry liquid for a long period of time. That what I should do a couple days before a race, and I've tried this and tested it, is consume a ton of watermelon. And I love that because for me, I can actually get that down and hold it. So sometimes it's a texture thing. Sometimes it just depends on your body.
Yeah.
So definitely test it. We've got somebody who's asked, can children have the electrolytes?
So yes, they can. What I would do though is dilute it. I wouldn't drink it in its full format because obviously it's meant to replenish a lot of perspiration.
Yeah.
So we would absolutely dilute it.
Yeah, children don't sweat. Young children especially don't sweat at the same rate as humans.
As humans.
Adult humans.
Adults.
And what age children are we talking about? Can we ask that question?
Let us know what age child. It's definitely going to depend on the age of the child.
But diluted at kind of 2/3, which is what we normally recommend. It's going to be basically the same sodium mix as like an orange juice or any other kids drinks that we found.
And we've tested it out. Sometimes people dilute it with ice anyways. Younger than 5 is the age.
Yeah.
They dilute it with ice just based on preference.
Yeah.
And so.
Oh, absolutely. So I mean, for us, for me, my water bottle on my bike, I put almost 4/5 and then a little bit of ice in. But for a younger child below the age of 5, I would definitely say 2/3 water, 1/3 electrolytes.
They're probably going to prefer it water.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Tinley likes it full on, but Tinley is 6, just for the record. My daughter.
Vaughn does too, but we put a lot of ice in his. So.
But they're also extremely active kids, and they've tested it. So it's always test the levels, see what they like, go from there, see how they react from it. Everything's an experiment. Experiment on your children. That's not that's not what we're saying here. Okay.
Other people's children.
Other people's children.
And they're not human anyway, right?
Yeah. Human ones come later.
They are animals.
Right.
So let's go back to snacking. And let's use the bars as an example because we do have in-house bars that we literally tested to be able to have just for this reason. So
absolutely. And for me, the protein bars that I've tried were either the texture of sawdust or of car tires. And it's very hard to chew that kind of chewy on a bicycle
and
swallow it while you're working out. So these little guys from Off the Farm are something that I came across and I started to try, and I put them in my jersey on my bike and they hold up really, really well. Yeah, and my favorite one is the peanut butter and chocolate, but we do have other flavors.
Mine is the mango. This is the blocker with the mango.
And we've got there's both snack bars and then the protein bars. And the protein bars in this little guy is either between 18 or 22 grams of protein in this tiny little guy. And the majority of them are plant-based, gluten-free. I haven't had anybody that's come in here that said they'd had an issue. I mean, you could snack them just as a snack, as a daily snack, never mind actually while you're working out as well, which I do on a regular basis as an in-between meal snack. Nice, healthy, and delicious.
They have been tested on the bike by this person at least. And
And
they're
by-
good on the bike.
and by our four-year-old.
Actually, probably all 3 of us. Yeah. Oh yeah. And my kid likes these too. And I know Scott's does. My 6-year-old loves the chocolate one.
Chip,
Yeah. So it's another again test it.
So I think the big question people would have though is like, what's the difference between regular food, like making a sandwich, and a bar like this? And honestly, in most situations, it's just convenience. It's prepackaged, and it's really dense, so it's easy to eat when you're doing your event. And if you're on a bike ride, you can kind of pre-snip it and then stick it in your pocket so that when you're doing your event, if you can eat while you're riding, you can just pull it off and eat it. Or if you don't like to take your hands off the bars, you can just pull over and
Why are you looking at me when
eat
you
it
say
at the
that,
rest.
Scott?
Eat it the rest up, but it's really just convenient. I mean, it's food. It's actual food. I think a lot of people get confused by just the wall of prepackaged food they see at stores and bike shops and run places, and think there's something magical about those. And really, when it boils down to it, what you're trying to do is you're trying to conveniently carry calories in a semi-consumable form. So just like we said with the hydration drink, it needs to be palatable because you need to drink it. And you can really get into the weeds with how many calories you're replacing and how quickly your body can absorb them. But when you're really getting started, it's just a matter of bringing things with you so that you have food for a long event. Because again, if you're going past 90 minutes, you have to take in food. It's just not going to have enough on board to
start tearing your muscles apart.
To support any. Well, it depends on the intensity. I mean, at a relatively low intensity, that's not the case. And there's a thing where people become fat adapted, where they learn to really use adipose tissue more than, or adipose free fatty acids. Yeah, you're burning fat as opposed to carbohydrates, and that is the case. And you can train that, and you can push it out. But what you don't want to do is try to fat adapt yourself and go out for a 4-hour ride and not have anything with you. Maybe you make it, you probably don't. So you need to bring something with you that's relatively convenient. It can be a pre-prepared bar. You can make your own things. I like to mix it up. I like to have some pre-prepared stuff. Sometimes I'll have some calories or just hydration in a water bottle. And then I'll even make my own things. I love Nutella. So sometimes I'll get like little Hawaiian rolls and put Nutella in there and bring them with me on like an endurance event or a marathon mountain bike race or something. Just so you're mixing it up, because if you eat the same thing for a 5, 6 hour, 9 hour bike ride, you just get sick of it. And again, you don't want to eat it. Your brain turns off and then you stop taking in nutrition, which is a very bad thing. So if you're mixing it up and you have multiple different flavors, like this peanut butter chocolate, you may not want to eat the whole thing in one sitting, but it's pretty dense. You could eat half of it, put it in your pocket, eat the other half, and then maybe you pull out a rice cake or a little Nutella sandwich that you've made. You eat a little bit of that. So again, you're mixing it up. So it doesn't, and a banana, yeah, something. So it doesn't sound like it doesn't feel like you're forced.
Can you say that word again?
Banana.
It just, you don't want it to feel like you're force feeding yourself, because your body will turn against you and will say, nope, we're not going to eat anymore, and then you're in trouble.
And for me, I've done triathlons and some Olympic distance. I usually don't go past that, but I traditionally have had poor nutrition just by not preparing, not practicing right. And I have it. Sometimes I have it on me. I have the liquid. I have the food to eat. Mm-hmm. But because I'm not trained to do it, and because I don't actually like what I've selected, I don't intake it, and therefore I, like Linda says, I bonk. Like I sit there and then I'll be going as hard as I can, and I'm not even pedaling. And I'm going up a hill and I'm about to fall over because I'm going so slow. And one of the tricks, of course, with practicing is asking other people what they have. And I've had people say they take pretzels, and for me that's a very simple, quick thing to snack and chew and keep you busy and move. And then my boyfriend takes licorice, and that's like his quick pick-me-up. So not everybody likes licorice, obviously, but again, I think I'm the only one here that likes licorice.
I don't mind licorice, I was going to say, and if any of you out there know, biltong is an awesome snack to take on any of your workouts too, because it's got great salt in it, and it's obviously very high in protein because it's dried beef, and no, it's not beef jerky, but it's delicious.
It's a distant cousin. Okay. So one of the things I have new clients that are kind of learning the process of fueling their rides is set an alarm. Most people have a bike computer or a smartwatch or something like that, or when you're training or when you're doing a longer event or a longer ride, is set an alarm 15 to 20 minutes to remind you to snack and drink. And after you've done that a few rides, a few weeks, it starts to become a habit. When you're new, you're so focused on what you're doing, whether it's running or particularly with cycling, you're so focused on all the dynamics with cycling, you just really don't think about eating and drinking. So just having that little friendly reminder, that alarm to go off and say, okay, I need to drink. And if you're not comfortable drinking or eating when you're moving, there's inevitably going to be some stops, hopefully. But at some point, you do want to get comfortable drinking and eating while you're riding if you plan to cycle a lot. But even with running, just setting an alarm to remind you to take a drink, have a quick little bite. It doesn't even have to be a whole bar or anything. Just a quick bite so that you start to get in the habit of taking things in, calories in particular.
And this isn't just cycling and running. This is any form of fitness. This is anytime you're doing weightlifting. If you know you're going to be doing a certain amount of output of energy and sweat, then you should be replacing that. And even swimming. Swimming is hard because you can't tell you're sweating. You definitely sweat. in the
Sure.
water, you definitely lose hydration.
Yeah, the activity is definitely going to dictate the mix of your nutrition and hydration, but the same rule applies. You, for anything over a given period of time, you have to put things back in your body, and so starting now to figure it out and plan it is
Yeah.
the way to go forward.
And I would say, err on the side of caution. Take something with you, even if you think you're not. Having been on what I thought was a 35-mile Sunday ride and missing a 35-mile turn and landing up and doing 65 miles, it's good to have food with you when you landed up doing almost double what you thought you were going to do.
For sure.
That's a good point.
Yeah, even a short run or ride, like your friends talk you into going farther. Somebody has a mechanical, and that 2-hour ride turns into 3 or 4 hour ride. It's just nice to be prepared. So you should always get in the habit, just like you would bring a way to fix a flat. You should always have at least a little something, maybe a bar, a couple of goos, whatever you prefer, just in case. And maybe it's not even for you. Maybe it's for the person that is bonking on your ride.
I can't
And
tell
you
you
need
how
to
many
get-
people have bailed me out.
You need to get them.
Thank you to all those extra snack
just
carriers
handing
out there.
handing out gummy bears just to people that look like they need some food.
Yeah.
Yep, 100%.
So let's talk about. Let's see. Tomorrow is Friday.
Thursday.
Tomorrow's I don't know what date it is. What day
Tomorrow's
is it?
Thursday, the
Today's
whole day.
tomorrow's
But I can
Thursday.
tell you about the event
Oh my
that
gosh,
we have
please,
on
yes.
Friday and
Yeah.
Saturday, because when you said the event tomorrow, I was like, we have
See,
an event
see,
tomorrow.
this is because I'm not hydrated, guys. Okay, so tell us about Friday's
Brain bonking.
event, which is we have happy hour every Friday from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so it's very topical. So if any of you guys joined us for the On Shoes running event, after that we had Starla come in, who's a dietitian, and talk to us about fueling your body for long distance endurance workouts. And she will be the guest speaker at this week's happy hour, and she's going to talk to us about snacking and a little bit more the technical side. Scott and I just wanted to share our things that we like and why
this
it's
is
important
experiences.
and this is our personal experience with it, because I think every single person I've ever spoken to, at some point in time, what to eat and what to drink comes up on as a topic. So we thought it would be a good idea for Starla to come in and talk about snacking. We've started to carry some snack boxes in the store, and that's for whether you are working out or not, but as good nutrient-dense snacks, because there's a difference. A calorie is not a calorie is not a calorie. And she's going to come in and chat to us a little bit. We're going to have mocktails and snack boxes, excuse the pun, and then she's going to talk to us about snacking and how you can tell and what works for people and what kind of the mix should be from a dietary requirement perspective. So that'll be very, very interesting. And then just to talk about, while I'm talking about events, on Saturday we have Amber, who's coming in, who's a PT, and she's going to talk to us after our run. So we'll do our normal 5K run at 8 a.m. on Saturday. And if the question's going to come up, are we going to move our runs to earlier in the morning? Yes, we are definitely going to move our runs to earlier, because it's now starting to get a little bit warmer.
What?
Yeah.
Disdain.
So on Saturday we'll have our normal run and then stretch, and then Amber's going to talk to us about strengthening our hips as runners and why that's important to run injury free.
And then on Sunday we've got an event as well. Actually, we've got our normal cycling event,
Yep.
and then a special additional cycling event after that.
Yeah, so it's for the event after our normal 3 distance rides on the bike. We've got a cruise ride, so that's for everybody to come out, kids to come out with their parents, and that's about, I think it's between
It's 12
to 18
12. No, it's
miles.
the new route is 12 to 13 miles.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And it will be done at a really cruise pace, and it's basically to go and take pull photographs at stunning murals in and along the paths
Just
and
a
around.
chill mural.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So
And if you're
that's-
wanting to get introduced to cycling, this is a good place to do it. Please wear a helmet though when you come, because we do
Yes.
hit the road.
Yes,
Helmets are mandatory.
yes, on all rides.
Helmets are mandatory.
Helmets are mandatory. No, it's just a fun little kind of tour of a couple of really cool murals. I think Corbin will be taking pictures again. There will be 2 groups, so if you kind of are going to stay on your road bike and ride a road bike pace, there'll be that group. And if you're going to be on more of a neighborhood bike, a hybrid, or pulling a kid in a trailer, we'll have a group for that pace too.
Yep. So, I mean, I don't know, I hope this was informative for you guys. I always learn something when we sit down and have these conversations, and especially with the questions that you ask as well. I think that's it for us for this evening, other than Caitlin is waving me down and putting her hand up.
Last minute question.
We have a last minute question. To answer the question that was just asked by Houston Harriers, hello. They asked us what time the tour ride is, and that will be at 11 a.m. and it's because at 8 a.m. we have our normal Sunday run. They'll come back around 10:30. They'll
Ride.
What do I have to say? Run, ride, ride.
Sunday bike ride.
Ride.
Sunday bike ride at 8.
That's why they're
get
here.
back about 10:30.
Yeah, and then
so
everybody.
Those people that want to go can also do the mural tour.
People can go replenish, get ready, and then
get a coffee, get a snack, and then go take some pictures.
Yeah, because a lot of people, we had a really good turnout last time for the mural ride, and a lot of the guys that rode on the bike ride said, "Oh, gee, we want to go too."
We want to go too,
yeah. So we've made it at a time that'll be good for everybody.
Or if you just want to sleep in.
And keep in mind, if it's sunny that day, you'll definitely want your sunscreen on because that is in the right when it starts getting really hot. So take care of your skin as well as the inside of your body.
And the good news is that Corvin, who's kind of picked up the murals that we're going to, is a photographer, so you can bet that there are going to be some beautiful photo opportunities, and he always takes his camera with and takes some very cool photos as well, so it'll be a lot of fun. And we brought it back because so many people enjoyed the first one and asked us to do a second one as well.
So keep your eyes out on our calendar. We've got things popping up all the time. If you guys have any questions, suggestions, please message us. Let us know. We want to hear from you.
Yep, and we are open to any kind of event that makes sense, and that
a wheelie contest.
A wheelie contest.
A what?
Okay.
A wheelie fun.
Oh,
wheelie
that's
contest.
not what I heard.
Yes,
but
yes,
yeah, sure.
yes, let's do a
Wheelie contest. I heard it was I heard wiener dog contest, but that sounds fun too.
Didn't they used to do wiener dog drag racing?
There's some kind of wiener dog
Is that a thing? I think they were drag
festival
races.
or something.
Yeah.
Where's all my wiener dog people at? I don't have a wiener dog, but still.
Different.
As our dogs
It's a
walk
different-
by outside.
different Facebook group.
What? Hey, and dogs are welcome on the run. Sorry, guys, they can't be on the bike ride. That just won't work out.
Yeah.
But, all right, so thank you, Scott. Thank you, Linda. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to us, and we'd love to answer them.
Yep.
Everybody have a wonderful evening.
Goodbye.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Cheers.
Oh, we got a coffee and beer mile. Okay, we'll work on that, Harriers.
Ooh, yes, that sounds like a great idea. Coffee and beer mile.
Coffee and beer run. Yeah, no. You've never seen.
Beer mile.
Oh, come on. It's like a thing at the Texas Ironman too. Like there's a mile that's literally just. Whoa! I broke
I fell asleep.
the beer one. Killed it.
As soon as the phone
Right.
beer.
That's what happens at the beer mile. You just fall over. No, but yeah.
It's like
Okay.
cyclocross.
Oh
Drinking at every
Cyclocross,
spot.
but running. Okay, and Scott's favorite thing is not running, so maybe that's why he doesn't know what it is. But
Well, you might
we'll
like
remedy
it if
that.
it's got beer and coffee involved in running.
Would-
We might
would
entice
you be more likely
Could I
to
just do the
run?
beer and not the run?
You gotta
Is
earn
that
it.
a
If
sport?
you
You gotta
run
earn
a
it.
mile to get the beer,
Oh.
does that work that way?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll work on that, guys. So everybody have
Thanks, guys.
an awesome night. Take care.
Thanks.